Hello and welcome to CLEA'S World. I am Clea, and today I would like to share with you more of the information I've received from the 25th dimension during my last BQH hypnosis session. I'll be reading from a transcript, and when I refer to Lorraine, I'm speaking of my practitioner who's asking me questions I prepared in advance of the session. And when I refer to me, I'm referring to myself under hypnosis, which means the answers are coming from the 25th dimension. One thing about today's video is that the section I'll be reading from is the section that I normally call personal questions. Now, if you've seen any of my previous sessions, you know that normally these personal questions are not really personal. I simply use my life or what I'm experiencing or what I'm seeing as a platform to jump from so that the 25th can comment or interpret or analyze or give us advice around things that might not have to deal with intel or how the world works and whatnot. So we talk about normally different things in these sections. And of course, I only share what is relevant. So I'm going to start reading here. But before I do, as always, I want to thank you for subscribing, commenting, and liking this video. Thank you so much. All right. So Lorraine. Why did Clea set up being starved as a baby? She wants to know if it was about avoiding the low vibrational codes available in this reality. So just as a premise here, when I was about a year old, probably right around a year old, my mother used to leave me with a family member, actually, who used to take the food my mom left for me and give it to her children. So I was with this lady for several months and basically I shriveled and they had to take me to the hospital to make sure that I was able to eat solid food again. So here we go. I've always been wondering about this experience, and so I'm glad I asked the 25th. Me. Yes, she set up certain experiences for herself, but also it was mostly, we already said, the time that her appetite came back was when, or showed up really for the first time, was around 16 years of age when she came to the United States and she decided she was going to be part of this game. Basically, she did not want to be part of this game before. She was already connecting with us. She didn't realize that's what she was connecting to. She was very much outside of this game. That was a problem for her because it wasn't time for her to awaken yet. She had not had the experience she wanted to have, which she later had as an atheist, when basically what she considers being an atheist really just meant that she was going to deep dive into 3D. And so, yes, she set herself up so she wouldn't be so anchored by these codes. Absolutely, food is very much a way that we used to be in this reality. We already said we won't need to eat on your earth. And now, while many other people within the multiverse eat, they eat foods that are very different from ours. We use low vibrational foods. Most food is low vibrational here, even things that we think of as being healthy, like certain fruits or certain vegetables, or certain things that we think are better for us. We have changed them in ways that are very low vibrational. And the reason we have done this, we have supported doing this, because it really does help maintain this reality the way it is, which is what we have wanted. And so that was the case. Clea did not want to be part of this. So she really ate barely anything until she was 16. So I was born and raised in Italy. And at 16 is when I came to the United States for the first time to do an exchange program, 1 year abroad, basically during high school. And I do remember very vividly how all of a sudden I was interested in food. But also I came to the United States because it was part of my pathways where I knew that I could eventually express myself. I would have not been able to do this, and I've actually discussed this with the 25th, and I actually shared that with you in a previous video. I would have never been able to do this. I would have not allowed myself to openly connect to the 25th or even less speak about it if I'd been in Italy. There's just too much societal pressure. And because, of course, my family's there, they would have thought I was crazy. I would have never done this. So everything works as, you know, in the way that the higher self is set up for us. Now I'm going to read some final messages here because this is the end of the session. I hope you enjoy these. I always do. Here we go. Lorraine, thank you. Okay, final messages. A final message for Clea. And again, I'm sharing this because it really is not just for me. Yeah, so we have said that Clea has been dealing with these life reviews and that she's actually getting to the other side of it in terms of she understands now that it has nothing to do with her situation, 3D situation. Everything has to do with the fact that we can create our reality. But our higher self is not interested in certain things because really they don't matter. They don't make a difference, even though we might worry about them. And so Clea has now already switched her focus to what we discussed, which is finances to power. So what we all ought to focus on, or it would be beneficial for us to focus on, power. Let's use our power. And that's how, if we focus on that at a conscious level, things will improve from our 3D perspective to a certain extent. We already said we don't want to upend our lives all of a sudden. But yes, they will improve because we are in charge. And this is why I shared this final message for me, because if you've seen my previous videos, I have been worried about finances. My business has been greatly impacted by what's been going on. Of course, I know nothing comes from the outside. I've also pulled my focus back. Of course, I've been focusing on 25th and so on and so forth. But bottom line is that there have been times where I've been feeling like, my goodness, what am I doing? I mean, this is not responsible. I'm a single mother. I have a young child. I need to plan for the future. And they have suggested that, and this is what applies to everybody, they suggest that instead of focusing on finances, we ought to focus on power. We are in charge. Everything is within our power. And I have to tell you, I've mentally made a switch, and this has not been a concern for me anymore for a while now. So this is why I wanted to share this. Hopefully it helps. Lorraine, thank you. Final message for me, and me, Lorraine, me. So you are juggling the same things that many of us are working with, which is in between being in this transition period, in between reality. You are handling it by, again, manifesting in front of your eyes with your hands. If you notice, all the things you do, including your garden, have to do with transformation. And so you're doing quite well. However, we would recommend, we are not going to tell you what to do, of course. You are free essence. But we would recommend that you don't assume, because you are very high consciousness, you run the risk of assuming that you have processed certain things that you haven't. We would warmly recommend that you stay open and have compassion for yourself. It is not a matter of not having done the work. You've done plenty of that. It is a matter of the fact that we are dealing with something that is unheard of, that is a first in the universe, in the multiverse, in ever. So there will be blind spots, and there will be things that you have never dealt with. It doesn't matter how much preparation you've had. We all believe we've been preparing for this a long time. You specifically have been preparing for this a long time. But this is the work we have done here at a 3D level. It's nothing compared to some of the work that we're doing now, that we're becoming more conscious of our powers. We already said we would have not even been able, we would have not even, the vibration, the frequency wasn't even available for us to do the things we're doing now. We're actually learning as we go that we can do certain things at a 3D level. So we say, just be more open to that, because what you run the risk of running into is that you might say, oh, but I've been doing this. Yes, you have. We don't want to take anything away from all the work you have done. However, be open to the fact that you might need to use different ways of handling things going forward. The dream came up for you to remind you that even though you believe you process certain things, you're still human, and you still have a lot that you have not even come into contact with. We have no doubt that you're up for the task. We have no doubt that you're equal to the challenge. But give yourself some slack and give yourself some understanding and acceptance of the fact that just because you are as well versed in so many things as you are, does not mean that you should take everything in stride and that you already seen everything, because none of us have seen this before, despite the fact that we've been around the block many, many times, and not just on this planet. I thought this was very cool. And of course, it was addressed to Lorraine because she is so self-aware. And of course, she's been doing a lot of high consciousness work for a long time. But really, it's something that we can all use, which is basically have compassion for ourselves and realize we've never been through this before. Nobody in the multiverse has ever been through this before. So I think we can cut ourselves some slack when we feel like we're putting up resistance, or I think at this point in our history, we can drop the shoulds. Oh, I should be more like this, or I should be more like that. cares? Doesn't matter. Shoulds don't matter. What matters is where you at, and it's all right. Whatever it is, it's okay. All right. So Lorraine, thank you for those wise words. I will take them into counsel. Final message for the 12,000. Me. So we have told the 12,000 in the last session that you will achieve the purpose you set up to achieve. And we are grateful that you decided that it was worthwhile to stay longer. We know that you are not wanting to stay here longer, but you are doing it because out of duty, but also out of the fact that we really, truly are here to learn, and not to learn because we have to be better. So while it is challenging from an emotional perspective, I mean, you are more than ready to go to your next home, to your next station. Also take in stride the fact that this is actually exciting for you to have come face to face with something that you didn't even think it was possible. Just like when you came up with the idea of resets and the dark thought, oh my gosh, we hadn't even thought about that would be possible. They were super enthralled, and you see what they're done with it, and they were laughing. This is the same thing. Right now, you're creating something that, my goodness, there's so much potential for this. So while we understand you're tired and exhausted, this is also, you can look at it as also being very, very exciting. So perhaps focus more on that. Everything will unfold the way it's meant to anyway, the way you set it up anyway. So everything will be fine. But also remember that it is for the best. So it's not a horrible thing, the fact that we're staying behind, as much as we hate the idea of still being here while everybody else has already moved on. Lorraine, thank you. Final message for humanity. Me. Well, and they were laughing. There isn't much of humanity left. So to the ones that have stayed behind, whether on the side of the dark or the few stragglers in the middle or the side of the light, at this point, we would say, well done. You lasted till the end. You're one of the last few people left. You'll definitely have stories to tell. And this is a great experience for you, whether you consider it to be positive or negative right now, and whether you're living in fear or in emotional upheaval, whatever the case might be. The truth is, this is a great experience for you. We say, especially to the dark, do not fear. Do not fear. You have always lived in fear. You wanted to transmit this fear, and you've ended up being the biggest victims of it. And you really, in a sense, have gotten the short end of the stick. The truth is, we're done with this, and we never want to repeat this again. So we just want to move on. So this is a message for everybody on all sides. We just want to move on. Let's focus on the last few months, keeping this in place, letting things happen so that the lessons can be taken and we can do better going forward. Lorraine, thank you. Any closing words for the session? Me. We want to thank you for allowing us to share this information. While we always say the information is in the ether at this point, and there are other people that have received it just by the fact that it has been distributed and therefore has been received almost as in a radio transmission by a handful of people on this planet. We also do appreciate the effort that has gone in, especially on your and Clea's part, to actually, and of course Carolyn as well, to actually put this information out there in a verbal manner. Because here's the thing, while we always say this information does not have to be spoken, does not have to be written to percolate, right now, do you see? We had no idea that this would happen or this would become irrelevant because of the transition we're going through and the fact that we are now bringing the subconscious to the level of the conscious, or part of the level of the subconscious to the level of conscious. You see, it does make a difference that we have spread this information in a conscious manner, in a verbal, in an oral manner. This is important because now this information is actually helping many of us cope at a conscious level with some of the things that our higher self is percolating down to us or through us, especially through dreams and other things that we wouldn't necessarily be able to place or to understand at a conscious level otherwise. So we are very grateful for the opportunity you have given us to play a part in this transitional period that, again, we did not expect would come about. So this has turned out to be quite an experience for all of us, even at the level of the 25th. And it is something that will bloom and that will blossom, and it will bring many benefits forever, for eons, until the matrix exists and even beyond. this has been a wonderful experience for us. I have to say, this was so, it really touched me to be thanked by the 25th. I'm like, because I always wonder, like, why do I need to share this if it doesn't matter? The second that I receive it, and I wasn't the only one receiving this information, but the second that I receive it, it's out there. And now I'm like, oh, I'm glad I did all of this. And of course, I enjoy connecting with you guys. I mean, this has always been my motivation at the end of the day for spreading this information. But I have to tell you this, I was not expecting this, and I was truly, truly touched. So Lorraine, thank you. We are so grateful for the communication and the message on a conscious level so that we can move forward and be in preparation. Thank you so much. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next video. I will do a new session. So if you have any questions for me, as always, put them down in the comments below, or also just comment on whatever's going on in your life, how you see this working out in your particular experience, because we're all going through the same thing. So it's always good to compare notes. Thank you so much again, and take care.